Hey, filaments and color prints, give me a W. Give me an E. Give me a D. I always get confused because it sounds like Wednesday, but it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday! Oh my gosh! Hey team, my name is John. Welcome to another episode of A Day in the Word. Each week we tackle a different chapter of a book in the Bible. Today we're tackling Daniel chapter 8. Let's begin. Let's not waste any time. Let's start with Daniel chapter 8 verses 1 through 14. So in this chapter, we have another vision from our friend Daniel. And in this vision, he sees this two-horned ram get in a fight with a one-horned goat. And the one-horned goat wins, but then the one-horned goat's one horn turns into like four horns, but then out of one of the horns comes a little horn, which grows into a bigger horn. So many horns. I mean, this chapter's downright. This vision, much like all of the other visions that Daniel has, this is an allegory, or this is a prophecy of something that's going to happen at some point in the future. Now, what is going to happen or when it's going to happen, Daniel's not exactly sure. And if Daniel's not exactly sure, then I have no idea. Let's read on and find out. Let's read verses 15 through the end, 15 through 27. Just as we suspected, this ram and this goat are indeed an allegory. They're foreshadowing the historical transition from the Persian to the Greek era in the Near East. And these horns, they represent different kings that pop up throughout this time in history. And that little horn, if you remember it, that's the worst one of all, because that horn represents a Greek king by the name of Antiochus Epiphanes, who was famous for persecuting and oppressing Jews. That was until Judas Maccabeus came and retook the temple in 164 BC. Got it? Me neither. The truth is, every now and then you're gonna hit one of these chapters in the Bible. One of these chapters where it's so ingrained in the historical context of the day that you're just left asking, what the heck am I supposed to get out of this? Because these chapters are so ingrained in the historical context, they can be really difficult for us to understand, even when we do our research. Because it was really difficult for Daniel to understand, and he was living in that historical context. At the end of the chapter, in verse 27, Daniel's talking and he says, I was appalled by this vision. It was beyond understanding. So even for Daniel, an intelligent person living in that time, this vision is so hard to understand. So what are we supposed to pull out of this chapter? Well, that's a great question. For me, it actually came in verse 27, right before Daniel was talking about how difficult this vision was to understand. It says, I, Daniel, was worn out. I lay exhausted for several days. Here it is. Then I got up and went about the king's business. You see, even though Daniel can't fully understand exactly what God is trying to tell him through this vision, he still goes back to work serving the Lord. And what I sort of pull out of that and what I wrote down was, just because we can't always understand God does not mean we should ever stop serving him. If you're like me, I've had moments where I can't really understand what I'm reading in this book, or I can't understand what God's trying to tell me through different things in my life, or I can't hear God during prayer. There's so many times in my life where I just feel like I can't understand what God's trying to do. And the temptation in those moments, at least for me, is just to kind of give up. Like, I can't understand the Bible, I don't know what God's trying to tell me, I give up, I'm not reading my Bible anymore, I'm not praying to you, I'm done with you, God. But we've been talking this entire book about living by Daniel's example, and I don't think this chapter is any different. Moving forward, after Daniel does not understand this vision, moving forward, Daniel goes back to work. He continues to serve these kings with excellence and with truth. We'll see in later chapters, Daniel continues to pray, and he continues to get visions from the Lord that he continues to dive into and struggle with. Daniel doesn't allow his lack of understanding to stop him from continually pursuing God at all costs. And so once again, if you're like me, every now and then you're gonna hit a chapter like this where you just can't understand it. But I think that as a Christian, the important thing is not to 100% fully comprehend everything in this book. That's not really our job. I believe what's most important is to continue to pursue God at all costs, both in His Word and in our daily lives, regardless of whether we fully understand what He's doing. Thanks, team, for watching another episode of A Day in the Word. We are almost at the end of Vloguary. I can't believe it. It's been exhausting, but it's been fun. I would love for you to actually comment down below. I always want to hear about, your thoughts on the chapter and all that, but I would love for you to comment down below and just say yes or no if you've been following Vloguary. Have you watched every single video? You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm just really interested because I like you all. I think you're kind of cool people. You know what I'm saying? As always, you would make me a very happy person if you would subscribe to the channel, and also if you would share this video with a friend of yours. Keep being awesome, you beautiful people.